All right, what is up, my friends? Welcome to the complete set review for Duskmourn, House of Horror. About to do our red cards here on our full set review, where I do every single card in the set, constructed and limited. White, blue, and black are all done. If you missed them, go watch them on YouTube. And if you are on YouTube, if you like the show, please take a half second, like the video, leave a comment, support the channel. Helps a ton. All right, these are a lot of work, and I appreciate your support. And it costs you nothing but a second of your time with that like button. All right, hit the like button, please. All right, so we're going over the whole set. We are, of course, doing our all of our awards, as we always do. And I want to remind you all about the Pile Driver pre-release. It's a community event. I run my Discord for my Pile Drivers, YouTube members, and Twitch subs. And it's free to play. Usually 4 rounds, pretty quick, lots of fun. That's going to be happening on the 28th. And, of course, there are prizes, gift cards from CoolStuffInc.com, as well as some cool borderless cards, too. So check it out. Pile Driver pre-release, all of those in the Discord. Let's get to red. Starting out with Bedhead Beastie. This is the red common land cycler. 6 mana for 5/6 menace, mountain cycling 2. This one's not so good. 6 mana for a 5/6 is like not very good. And menace is also not the most exciting on a creature of this size. While it does stop it from being chump blocked, it doesn't stop it from being double blocked. They just have 2/3/3s or whatever. So this seems like the worst of a land cycler. It's also in the worst land cycling color. So overall, I think this card's mostly limited filler and then not too much more. Not very excited about it, although there are Christmas lights on it. Christmas lights are now Magic Cannon. Sure, why not? Betrayer's Bargain, 2 mana for a instant. This will cost to cast a spell, sack creature or enchantment, or pay 2. 5 damage to our creature, and it would exile it if it dies. This card's great. If you're playing any sort of sacrifice deck with creatures or enchantments in it, 2 mana for deal 5 is great. Exiling is also great. This kills Shielder, which is nice. And this card's just a great way to kill things, honestly, you know. Not much more to say, honestly. You know, like, paying it for 4 is a little much. I think if it was pay 1 more, this card would be insane. But yeah, if you're playing a sacrifice deck with fodder for creatures or enchantments, this card's excellent. Great limited card, too, because 4 mana is totally fine for this. Card's good. Card's pretty sweet. Boilerbilges Ripper. Bilges. It's 5 mana for a 4/4 human assassin, ETB, sacrifice a creature or enchantment. If you do shock something, there's a limited filler. You know, obviously the black-red deck's all about sacrificing stuff. 4/4 for 5 is not very good. A shock is okay. This is just a passable limited card anymore. Cool art, though. Really, really, like, awesome shadowing and texturing. It's cool stuff. Chainsaw. Not, you know, haunted chainsaw or fancy chainsaw. Just chainsaw. 2 mana for an artifact equipment. When it ETBs, it deals 3 damage up to 1 target creature. This is the most important part. This card's got a lot of words on it. But for the most part, this card is just Chandra's Oath or whatever. You know, 2 mana, ETB, deal 3, and it's a permanent you can do things with. It does do things. So whenever one of our creatures die, I put a rev counter on it. Plus X plus O for rev counters, equips for 3, which is a lot. So there is some value there as far as things just laying around. But this is mostly a thing you want to play. You play this, you kill a thing, and later on sacrifice it for value to an anvil or whatever else it might be. So that's fine. That's playable and constructed. It's a great limited card. In limited, the equipment effect will be much more valuable. But for the most part, this is just here to deal damage to creatures for 2 mana, which is fine. Reasonable. Works. Clockwork Percussionist. 1 mana for a 1/1 haste monkey toy. Whenever it dies, exile top card of your library. You may play it until the end of your next turn. Cool, right? This is like kind of similar to Haunted Witness. Haunted Witness, whatever it is. What's that card? Where if it dies, you get some value. This is an artifact. It also has haste, a little more value there too. Kind of cool. It's sweet. Cool little card. Sacrifice for value if it dies. Kind of card where I wouldn't just play this in like an aggro deck. But if you're playing sacrifice stuff with artifacts and things, this could be a playable card. Not super exciting. The rate's not super high. But also an artifact for Delirium, which is kind of cool too. So that's sweet. Any creature, if it's an artifact or enchantment, gets a little bit of extra oomph as far as Delirium goes. So Screens in Magic the Gathering. 4 mana for a artifact, Cursed Recording. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a time counter on Cursed Recording. Then if there are 7 or more time counters on it, remove those counters and it deals 20 damage to you.
It's over. We lost again.
So you just kill yourself basically. But you can tap it whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn. So whenever you next cast, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. So this can copy your next 6 spells and then you die. Is copying your spells good enough? I don't know. It is cute to donate this card, I suppose. But yeah, so obviously it's kind of a fun flavor card. I mean, it's kind of powerful, but 4 mana as a initial cost is kind of high. So yeah, it's kind of cool. You know, it's definitely a cool, fun build around. But realistically, it's probably not going to be a serious card. But it's cool. It's a fun little design. Diversion Specialist. Uncommon 4 mana 4/3 human warrior with menace. Pay 1, sacrifice a creature or enchantment, exile top card and play it this turn. Great limited card. You know, a 4/3 menace for 4 is a great limited card anyway. And this has the ability to draw a bunch of cards too. Linchpin card for the sacrifice deck. Not playable constructed. Enduring Courage. 4 mana 4, a 3/3. This is the red enduring rare. Whenever another creature you control enters, it gets +2/+0 and gains haste on a turn. And whenever this dies, if it was a creature, it comes back as an enchantment. This one I'm not too high on because it can't do much itself. You play it initially and you are playing a hill giant and that is it. No flash, no tricks. It doesn't pump itself or anything else. It just 4 mana 3/3, go. It is an extremely powerful effect to have in play. So if it dies, now you have this enchantment in play that gives haste, which is super awesome. But the initial cost is just too high, I think, for playability constructed. It's just not good enough. So to think this card does not get there in constructed, it is a great limited card because having this enchantment in play after it dies is insane. But yeah, for constructed, I think this card just isn't good enough. If it targeted itself, it would be busted, I think. It'd be insane, but it doesn't. So yeah, not thrilled about it, unfortunately. Great limited card, but Fear of Being Hunted. I'm like a big fan of this card. This is only the second ever creature in the history of Magic the Gathering to have 4 power and haste for 3 mana. And the only other one was a New Capenna, and it costs black, red, green. So very difficult casting cost. Red, and 1. It's an enchantment creature, which helps with Delirium. And then it must be blocked if able. So if they have a 1/1 or a 1/2, you can kill that with a 2, which is kind of cool. This card just hits. Is this card good enough for constructed? Maybe not, I guess, given how good creatures are these days. But I don't know. The old boomer in me just can't look at this card and be like, God, those numbers are so high, you know? Like, so if there is some sort of like red-green Delirium aggro deck, I think this card does play pretty well there. Play it, trade with it. It's an enchantment. If it don't have a block, I think block with it, just kills them super fast. I like this card a lot. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It's pretty cool. Pump effects. It just hits. This card just hits, folks. Hits like a truck. And then the limit of this card's insane, I think. Hits like a truck. Helps you with Delirium. This card's awesome. I just think this card's great. Fear of Burning Alive. Speaking of limited cards. 6 mana for a 4/4. ETB, deal 4 damage to each opponent. Another good two-headed giant card. And then Delirium. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, if you have Delirium, it deals that much damage to a creature that player controls. So if you have Delirium, this enters the battlefield, does 4 to your opponent and 4 to one of their creatures, and that is absolutely insane. And then having Delirium as a precursor for this is a lot more palatable on a 6 mana card than a 2 mana card, right? So this is a limited bomb. This card's awesome. It's great limited card. Obviously, you want to get Delirium with this card and make it good, but I think this card's just insane. Excellent card. Fear of Missing Out. FOMO. This card is also great. I think this is one of the best cards in red in this set. Not getting best in show, but this card's awesome. 2 mana for a 2/3. ADB, discard, then draw. You see that card for a lot. You know, see that card in a lot of different variations, but usually much worse than this. 2/1 or 2/2 or whatever. And then as Delirium, whenever it attacks the first time, You get to untap a creature and have an extra combat step. That's cool. And so as far as Delirium stuff goes, this card is obviously an enchantment itself. Helps to get Delirium, helps put cards in the graveyard, is decently well statted, and has cool stuff going. This card's good, honestly. I think this card is just like a really, really solid card. I think it's playable, possibly in Pioneer also. It's a great limited card. The card is really good. And the art is horrifying, too, but cool. Grab the Prize is next. 2 mana for a sorcery. Additional cost, discard a card, draw 2 cards. If a discarded card wasn't a land card, they take 2. So this is Tormenting Voice with a little bit of upside. This is a set where you are more interested in discarding non-lands in limited, because there's Delirium as well as other things to reanimate and so on and so forth. So 2 damage is kind of cool. I don't think this card is that much better than Tormenting Voice is. 2 damage is nice, but like, you know, whatever. I guess it's fine. So for the most part, Tormenting Voice, which should be a fine card. This is a graveyard set, so fine limited card. The Hand That Feeds. 2 mana for a common mutant 2/2. If you have Delirium, it's +2/+0 and Menace when it attacks. This is a good common. It's a good 2-drop. It's fine on turn 2 as a bear. Once you have Delirium, it's quite good. And red-green's all about Delirium, so that's cool. If you're playing a Delirium aggro deck, good common. It's also got a lot of fingers on there. It's just so many fingers. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Impossible Inferno. 5 mana for an instant. 6 damage to our creature. If you have Delirium, exile top card of your library. You may play it until the end of your next turn. This card's kind of gas, right? So typically, 5 mana deal 6 instant is like your filler level removal spell. But this also draws a card if you have Delirium. That's awesome. That's really good. It's an instant. Seems good in the Delirium aggro deck as a way to kind of like push through blockers. Also draw a card. Card's good. You know, I wouldn't make this card super high. I think if you're not getting Delirium, this card sucks. But it's a kind of card where the ceiling is pretty high. And while the floor isn't great, it's passable. You know, 5 mana, 6 damage. You live with that. You could do worse than that, you know? So it's cool. Cool limited card. Infernal Phantom. 4 mana for a 2/3 Spirit. It is Eerie. Whenever enchantment, ETBs, or room unlocks, +2/+0. Whenever it dies, deals damage equal to its power to any target. I don't think this card is very good, because I don't think that red really cares about aggressive Eerie stuff. Kind of a weird card. I guess, like, it's fine as a defensive creature. So, like, you just block with it and then shock something. It's, like, kind of okay. It does trade up to a 4/4. So maybe it's more of a defensive card that has a little bit of upside, too. But, yeah, I don't know. Weird card. Doesn't seem to really fit with what everyone's doing in this set. The red-green is all about Delirium. Red-white's about, like, kind of, like, beatdown stuff. And then it sort of makes sense in Rooms, which is the Delirium deck. I mean, which is the Eerie deck. But, like, it's not very aggressive. I don't know. Just a weird card. Just a kind of bizarre card. Irreverent Gremlin. 2 mana for a 2/2 uncommon with Menace. Whenever creature you control power 2/+ enters, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card only once a turn. Again, the Boros mechanic is kind of about 2 power stuff entering, which is like a pretty loose mechanic. This card's fine. 2/2 Menace for 2 is fine. A little bit of looting is fine. It's cool. Fine limited card. Leyline of Resonance. I mean, y'all know I hate Leylines, right? So, this card got some early press because it allowed for a possible turn 2 kill. Right? If you have this in play for free, and Heartfire Hero, and like 2 Monstrous Rages, you clear your opponent on turn 2 in Standard. I don't care. That's not going to happen ever. And this card is just very bad. So this is a Leyline that when you cast a spell, or sorry, an instant or sorcery spell, that targets only a single creature you control, you can copy it. So it already has the volatility of being a Leyline, where you just need to have it in your opening hand. And then targeting your own stuff for value is also a fairly volatile thing to do because your opponent can just blow you out with removal spells too. So this card's just not good, you know, basically. So I don't know what else to say. Don't play it unlimited. It's not very good. I'm sure we'll die to a turn like 3 kill against this card at least once at some point. But yeah, this is just not a good card. It's just very, very bad. Most Valuable Slayer. 4 mana for a 2/4 common human warrior. Whenever you attack, target attacking creature gets +1/+0 and gains first strike to end of turn. So this is going to attack as a 3/4 first strike itself. That being said, it's not very good. It's a 2/4 for 4. This is limited filler. It can maybe help your survivalists. It has 2 power for 2 power stuff, I guess. But overall, this is just not a very good card. This is a card that's like trying to be good synergy-wise, but the rate's just bad. Norn, Swift Survivalist. Norn returns. 1 mana for a 2/1 legendary human coward that can't block. Whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, you may exile it. You may play that card from exile of its turn. This is, it's honestly kind of a cool card. So a 2/1 for 1 is obviously reasonable. Not being able to block is a very bad type line, but on a 1-drop, it's more palatable for sure. And then you can just like suicide attack all your creatures. Whenever they block, you can recast it. And then if you have ETB effects or death triggers or whatever, you get to recast, you get to block and recast it and get your triggers again, which is kind of cool. I'm sorry, not death triggers, but least play triggers. That's kind of cool, right? This card does cool things, both in the sense of like it allows for crazy attacks, and then also for like maybe crazier like blinky stuff too. And the floor is fine. It's 2 for 1, you know? So might not be playable and constructed, but the card's cool. I like the design. It's a fine limited card if you're super aggressive. The card's cool. Overlord of the Boilerbilges. Oh boy. Inferno Titan returns. A lot of these Overlords are getting the Best in Show awards because they really pushed all of them for the most part. 6 mana for a 5/5 enchantment creature Avatar Horror. When an ETBs or attacks, deals 4 damage to any target. Not just creatures. This can go to the dome. Any target. You can impending for it. So 4 mana, you can play it as an enchantment. Every end step loses a counter. When it has no counters, it becomes a creature. That's a big deal, right? So 4 mana, you kill a creature on your opponent's side of the board. And then this thing is just sitting there waiting in the wings. And if it gets to come into play and attack or whatever, it's pretty insane. It's also just like a fine thing to cast for 6 mana, which is cool too. Card's a house. You know, I think this card will play similarly to Inferno Titan in Standard. Big, huge, you know, game-ending threat. That is, you know, it's good early also. Not being able to kill Shoulder is an issue, but you can give it haste. It's insane also. You get to deal 4 and then 4 and then 5. Yeah, this is just a banger card. Unbelievable limited card. Unbelievable. Very good with Calamity too, which is kind of cool. So yeah, the card's really, really cool. I like it a lot. Best in Show for red. Overlord of the Boilerbilges. Open this card limited and destroy your opponent with it because it's just going to be absolutely insane. When it comes off a pen, it'll be the end of your turn. It does not suspend. The counter removes at the end of your turn. So you play this thing, it's on 3 almost immediately. So it can block on their turn and then attack on your next turn. Piggy Bank. Right into our sleeper card. This card's just good. Like, Piggy Bank is a 2 mana, 3/2. When it dies, make a treasure. There was that card in Capenna where it was a 3/1 that had Blitz with a similar effect. This is a 3/2. It does not get blocked by X1s, which is great. And it's just a thing your opponent has to block or deal with. You just get a treasure, which is awesome. And on top of all that, it's an artifact too for Delirium, which is great as well. This card's great. Like, this card's just really good. It's obviously a phenomenal limited card. I think this card's also just like a super solid constructed card. It's a great nuts and bolts 2-drop for a lot of different decks. Like, the stats of these cards are crazy, you know? And then also, this could ramp up to your Overlord. This could do a lot of stuff too. So, card's great. Remember when you smashed me for a little pocket money? But yeah, card's great. 2 mana 3/2s are the name of the game in modern day Magic, folks, and they kill really fast. So, card's great. Love it. Sleeper card for this set. I think this card will definitely see play in constructed, and definitely a card you'll see on 10 New Brews next week. Oops, did I screw up? Hold on. No. Next card is Pyroclasm. Where my boomers at? This is a classic reprint. This card was legal for a long time in many formats, and has not been reprinted in a very, very long time. One of the original, I think it was, if not the original, small sweeper. 2 mana for 2 damage to each creature. This card is so much better than the 3 damage or the 3 mana sweepers, like -2/-2 or whatever. I almost called this best in show in red. That's how good Pyroclasm is. You know, there are a number of go wide decks in standard, like the Convoke deck. This is really, really good with prowess creatures, like a turn 1 Swiftspear, turn 2 2/2 prowess guy, turn 3 Clasm, kill your stuff. Its act is insane. Card's great. It's obviously a sideboard card, but this is going to be a huge deal for both Pioneer and Standard. It's a great limited card too, because it's cheap and it's easy to kind of maneuver your way and play around it without, and also it's cheap. You can play this in another thing also. Yeah, this card's great. Real big deal. Pyroclasm's insane. Welcome back, buddy. I still have my Ice Age copies, so I'm very excited about it. Ragged Playmates next. 2 mana for a 2/2 toy. Pay 1, creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. Just a limited filler card. It's fine. If you're a Boros aggro deck, it's fine to push through some damage. It's an artifact. It is what it is. It's creepy too. Rampaging Soul Rager. 3 mana for a 1/4. Gets +3/+0 as long as there are 2 or more unlocked doors among rooms you control. This card's weird, right? So this is obviously a card for the blue-red rooms deck, which is the archetype in limited for blue-red. And if you're playing a lot of rooms, I mean, if this thing's just a 4/4 for 3, that's obviously awesome. And the 1/4 body is a fail-safe, will at least keep you alive, hopefully. I think this card is going to play a little better than it looks in limited. That being said, it's a card that you literally would only ever play in a good rooms deck, and the rooms deck has to actually be good. So there are a lot of common blue and red rooms that are cheap. They kill a creature or surveil, whatever. So enabling this shouldn't be that hard. So if the room deck is good, I think this is a player in it, but it's a card you should never take early, right? It's only playable in rooms, so it's the kind of card you get, 11th pick as a reward for playing the room deck. So I think it's playable, but we'll see. And again, rooms is also a really weird archetype. It's very unlike things you've seen before, so it might be unplayable and limited, but we'll find out. Razorkin Horde Caller is a little simpler. This card's Aomir. It's busted. 5 mana for a 4/4 haste. Attack and make a token. Just an unbelievably good limited card. Take it, beat the crap out of your opponent with it, and be happy with your day. Razorkin Needlehead. Much more interesting card. Red for a 2/2. First strike on your turn on offense. If your opponent draws a card, they take 1. Note that this is not like Bowmasters. This counts every draw. So every turn they draw a card, they take 1 damage no matter what. If they draw extra cards, they take extra damage. This card's good. It's obviously a little hard to cast, but a 2/2 first strike for on offense for 2 is pretty good. They always take 1 every turn, which is great too. And then, of course, obviously if they're playing Treasure Cruise or whatever else, card's good. This card's very, very good. Good aggro card. I think this card has legs in Standard, possibly Pioneer. Great limited card. This card's good. Just a really good card. It's fun. Rip Chain Razorkin. 4 mana for a 5/3 common with reach. 3 mana sacrifice land, draw a card. This is a good limited card, right? Just a 5/3 reach for 4 with upside. Yeah. That's fine. It's a little fillery, but it's fine. Dragonfire returns. This card's good. It's a removal spell. We've seen it before. It's obviously a good kill spell variant. Can't go face. Can hit planeswalkers, exiles things. Great limited card. Probably a top, red common. Just very, very good. Screaming Nemesis. This is an interesting one. 3 mana Mythic rare. 3/3 haste spirit. Whenever it's dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any other target. And if a player is dealt damage this way, they can't gain life for the rest of the game. So 3/3 haste for 3 is like fine. It's not that exciting anymore, honestly. And then if it's dealt damage, you get to redirect it and shoot your opponent, they can't gain life. The thing is that, like, this is not Sigma Lasher. Your life gain opponent can just take the damage. Just take 3, whatever. It has to actually trigger to stop the life gain effect, and they can just not block it or deal damage to it, or kill it through other means. So it is cool power Plasma, it's true. But yeah, so I think this card is kind of honestly. I suppose, sure, you can shock it itself. That's fair. That's fair. That's a good catch. I missed that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, if life gain's prevalent in Standard, you need a way to stop it, sure. But, like, I just don't think this card's very good. I don't think that's very important. The base stats aren't great. If, like, you're trying to rely on them blocking it or blocking with it, that's not very good either. Boris Reckoner saw play. That was a different time, folks. That was a different time and era, you know? Things are different now. It's pretty good. I don't know. Reckoner was pretty good. Reckoner was also underrated at the time, too, so we'll see. This card's probably fine, but I don't know. Limited's insane, obviously. It's great, but... The Roller Crusher Ride. X2 red Mythic Legendary Enchantment. Delirium. If a source you control would deal non-combat damage to a permanent or player, while you have Delirium, it deals double that amount of damage. And when it enters, it deals X damage each of X target creatures. So, deals 1 damage to 1 creature, 2 damage to 2 creatures, 3 damage to 3 creatures. This is obviously an insane limited bomb, right? Where, like, this is just going to fireball their entire team. That's absurd. Constructed, Commander, yeah, definitely a good commander card for sure. But yeah, Mythic Bomb and limited for sure. Otherwise, I don't see this card doing much constructed. Honestly, it's not really super exciting. Next up is Trial of Agony, 1 red sorcery. Choose 2 target creatures controlled by the same opponent. That player chooses one of them. Trial of Agony deals 5 damage to that creature, and the other one can't block. This is a really weird card. So we have a Punisher card here, where your opponent makes the choice, which is obviously tough. But you get the upside of the other creature can't block, and it's super cheap. It's 1 red to kill a creature, right? I think this card is not good enough for constructed, because obviously it also requires 2 creatures to even cast. But in limited, I think this card's kind of good, right? Say they have a 4/4 and a 3/3. So you target both of them. They have to kill the 3/3. The 4/4 can't block. You attack. That's pretty good, right? That's not a bad deal for 1 mana in an aggro deck. So I think it's a pretty good limited card, honestly. If you kill the creature in response to a smaller creature, they have to choose the other one. That's kind of cool. So like if they have a 1/1 and a Shieldred, you can play this card in response, shock the 1/1 and kill Shieldred. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, definitely a cool little card. Very unique effect, honestly. Yeah, card's cool. I like it. Cool limited card. Probably not a constructed, but definitely a cool limited card. Pretty fun. Fun to think about, too. Cool card. Turn Inside Out. 1 red instant. Target creature gets +3/+0 until end of turn. When it dies this turn, manifest Dread. So, obviously we use prior cards as baselines for our evaluations in limited, right? We've seen 1 red instant +2/+0 when this creature dies this turn, make it 2/2 a lot. And those cards are often fringe to unexciting, not very good. I think this card is like secretly kind of excellent. +3/+0 is a lot more than +2/+0, obviously. And manifesting Dread is a lot better than making a 2/2. It puts an extra card in the graveyard. It gives you a little bit of upside as far as possibly flipping it. And then it really fills the graveyard for Delirium well. I think this is going to be actually an awesome card in limited for red-green Delirium decks. And then I think this card is an outside shot at constructed also. I think if there's some sort of like Delirium aggro deck, which there are a lot of pieces for, like a red-green Delirium deck, this card will play very, very well there. Yeah, I think this card is just like surprisingly good. It's kind of card where like most cards like this aren't that good, but this thing just turns the dial up in 4 different spots, ends up actually being good. So this card's great. I think it's a possible constructed card, an actively good limited card. I'm in. Sign me up. Turn Inside Out. It's great. Untimely Malfunction. 2 mana for an uncommon instant. Choose one. Shatter, Deflect, or Falter. I mean, sure, it's a flexible card. Would I main deck this in limited? Probably not. But cool sideboard card, does some cool things. Obviously, you can kill artifacts. The deflect part of this is kind of cool, where you get to shunt the target of a spell. Definitely going to be some big blowouts in limited, if that's the case. Honestly, in limited, maybe this is good enough. There's enough artifact creatures to kill with the Shatter, and making a spell go somewhere else is pretty cool too. Yeah, this is kind of cool. So maybe limited, this is main deckable. Constructed, fine sideboard card, but it does a lot. There's a lot of modes. Vengeful Possession. Really, really cool art. I'm all about this kind of like abstract shit. Love it. 3 mana for a sorcery. Threaten. And you may discard a card if you do draw a card. Just like a slightly better threaten. There's a lot of sack stuff happening in black-red. So like black-red sack, threaten, steal your thing, sack it. Sure, we get the joke. Heard it a million times before, you know. It'd be pretty good there. Could be fine in a red-green Delirium deck if you're super aggressive. But overall, yeah, mostly a red-black card. It's just threaten, folks. You've seen it before a million times. So, Vicious Clown. 3 mana for a 2/3. Another creature you control, power 2 or less enters, +2/+0 till end of turn. This is kind of like one of your payoffs for Boros 2 power stuff, which is kind of a loose theme, honestly. Card seems okay. You know, if it's a 4/3 for 3 a lot of the time, that's fine. Doesn't block super well. It's okay. Limited filler. Violent Urge. Why would that make this person's head get so large? Whatever. 1 mana for an instant. Target gets +1/+0 against first strike till end of turn. If you have Delirium, it's double strike. This card's kind of gas, right? 1 mana +1/+0 and first strike is fine. And then in a Delirium aggro deck, double strike's great too. That's an Afro. I guess it looks like a brain to me. Maybe I'm too Duskmourn coded right now, where like I saw like a brain like going bigger or whatever. Maybe I'm wrong. The art's weird though. Whatever. But yeah, this card's cool. Honestly, in limited, this card's pretty nice. Constructed, probably not. But you know, 1 mana double strike is a pretty powerful effect. You have to have Delirium, which is like another moving part or whatever. But this card's cool. Good limited card. I think constructed outside shot. Pretty cool. Waltz of Rage. More cool art. Man, this is awesome art. 5 mana for a sorcery rare. Target you control deals damage equal to its power to each other creature until end of turn. Whenever a creature you control dies, exile top card of your library. You may play it until the end of your next turn. So this is a Wrath that allows you to turn your creatures into cards you can play next turn. Doesn't really seem reliable enough. You also have the issue of this targets a creature you control, and if they kill it in response, they fizzle your Wrath. So I think this card's like probably insane and limited, but just like not really useful and constructed. But really, really cool art for sure. It's just some sick art. Moving on to our rooms in red, and this is very important because rooms are, again, the blue-red archetype. So these common and uncommon rooms will be important. But our first room is a Mythic, Charred Foyer and Warped Space. Charred Foyer is 4 mana. Beginning of your upkeep, exile top card of your library, may play it this turn. So Outpost Siege, a card that I am near and dear to. Then we have Warped Space, which is 6 mana. Once each turn, you may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for a spell you cast from exile. That's not that exciting, but it's kind of cool, right? So if you say you have 6 lands in play, no cards in hand, you exile a spell and draw a land, you can just spend the 6 mana on the space and play it for free, which is kind of cool. So kind of sweet. I think the Charred Foyer is like maybe not good enough by itself, but still pretty awesome. And then obviously there are other things you can cast from exile too, like adventure cards or so on and so forth. I don't know. Card's kind of cool. I'm a big Outpost Siege fan. We'll see. Great limited card. Just Outpost Siege is just good and limited too. But yeah, this card's cool. I like it. Maybe not the best card of all time, but I'm in. It's a Mythic, which is a little iffy, but that's fun. And a reminder on these rooms. Rooms are split enchantments. You cast 1/2 of it, and then it comes into play as an enchantment. And then you may spend the mana cost of the other half at sorcery speed to unlock that door and make it a thing too. So we have Glassworks and Shattered Yard, folks. It's a Bombin Common, folks. If blue-red rooms is a thing, this is the card that's going to hold the room together. Get it? 2 mana for Glassworks. Unlock this room, deal 4 damage to a creature opponent controls. So 3 mana, deal 4 is a super solid limited removal spell. And then Shattered Yard is 5 mana, end step, take 1. So we have, it's a room, which matters for synergy. It's an enchantment, and it also just deals 4. It's a win condition. I think if room is going to work in limited, this is the thing that makes it work. So constructed, no, but Bombin Common for limited for sure. Love it. Painter Studio's next. Painter Studio and Defaced Gallery. Painter Studio, 3 mana for a, whenever you unlock this door, exile top 2 cards to your library. You may play one of them, sorry, you may play them until the end of your next turn. So this is a 3 mana version of the usual 2 mana impulse draw, which is not great. And Defaced Gallery is 2 mana for whenever you attack. Attacking creatures you control get +1/+1 at end of turn. That's pretty good. So this card's fine. It's like a fine limited card. You can draw some cards. Remember, you can play them in any order. So you can play Defaced Gallery first for a good attack, and then play the Unlock the Studio later, which is fine too. Card's good. Just good limited card. Ticket Booth and Tunnel of Hate. Whew, Tunnel of Hate's a metal sounding place. Ticket Booth is 3 mana for whenever you unlock this for a Manifest Dread. So 3 mana Manifest Dread is, it's not great, but it's fine. It's an enchantment. You know, it's a room. It's a common. And Tunnel of Hate is 6 mana. Whenever you attack, target attacking creature gets double strike on a turn. That's not a bad mana sink either. This is fine. Honestly, you know, I think Manifest Dread for 3 is not great, but there's enough upside here as far as like room synergy and everything else. This is probably okay in the room deck and not great otherwise. That's it. That's it for the red card. So to recap, Overlord of the Boilerbilges is our best in show for red. Piggy Bank's our sleeper card. Glasswork Shattered Yard is our Bombin Common. And then Leyline of Resonance is our trap card. Green's coming up. Lots of good green cards. Obviously, green's always good. And then make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on my awards. And let's do it.